Hi, this is Dan Cortopassi of TSG Multimedia. Today I'm reviewing an HO scale Broadway Limited Paragon Milwaukee S3 Class 484 number 261. This model is equipped with Broadway Limited's Rolling Thunder sound system. The S3 Class 484s were built during World War II. Number 261 was restored and since the early 1990s has been pulling excursions. So if you had a modern era layout and wanted to run a steam locomotive, this might be one you could pick. This model has an MSRP of $599.99. The model comes with some extra parts, including a wrench for loosening the side rods, extra traction tires, a front coupler and coupler box, and a funnel for filling the smoke unit. One thing I really like is that Broadway Limited has provided quite a bit of documentation with this model. There's a Paragon operator's manual, which just is general information on the Paragon 3 decoder. There's also some specific information on the 261 and exploded view drawings. This model has really good detail. There are a lot of freestanding grab irons and plumbing. I really like the chunky look of the engine. It really captures the feel of a real 484 pretty well. The builder's plate on the side is legible with magnification. The paint is very smooth and even. The other small markings on the engine besides the builder's plates are legible and very crisp. The front of the locomotive has a lot of nice detail. It includes uncoupling levers and a dummy coupler. The dummy coupler swings down if you want to show it that way. There's also a real coupler included if you want to use it. The bell moves too. The marker lights appear to be non-functional. However, the red emergency light does work. I'll show that a little bit later. The rear of the tender also has a lot of nice detail, including freestanding grabs, ladders, and uncoupling levers. The model is equipped with a knuckle coupler. The coupler was slightly low according to the Katy height gauge. The model features a full cab interior with a crew. The interior has pretty nice detail. There's an electrical receptacle where the tender plugs in. I also wanted to point out the somewhat unusual drawbar arrangement. There's this little plastic tab up here, and that fits into a little slot on the tender. So that's how you connect it mechanically. The front of the tender includes this vestibule arrangement. It has the cord which plugs into the engine, and also the little slot where the tab from the engine connects. One thing to note, and I'm not sure how it looks on the real 261 because I haven't actually seen that engine in person, but the front of this vestibule on the tender doesn't quite touch the cab on the engine, and I'm guessing that's because it probably goes around sharper turns that way. The top of the engine includes a lot of detail, including an air horn and whistles. The engine is also equipped with a smoke unit. The hatch on the top of the cab opens and closes. The tender has a simulated coal load and good water hatch detail. On the underside of the tender you can see the perforations where the speaker is mounted. Detailing is fairly minimal, but a lot of this wouldn't be that visible anyway. All of the wheels are in gauge according to the NMRA standards gauge. The tender wheels only pick up power from one side of each truck. The tender weighs 10.5 ounces. If this were a freight car, the NMRA recommended weight would be approximately 4 ounces. The underside of the locomotive also features pretty good detail. Interestingly, the design of the trailing truck is such that one wheel is spoked and one is solid. I assume that that's correct for the prototype. The engine appears to pick up power only from the main drivers. I checked, and the wheel gauge on one driver set was wide, and one of the pilot truck wheels was narrow. The engine is equipped with traction tires on the last set of drivers. The engine by itself weighs 24 ounces. On the fireman's side of the locomotive, there's a switch on the underside of the cab to turn the smoke unit on and off. I gave the engine a test with my force gauge, and I was able to measure up to about 12 ounces of drawbar pull before the engine seemed to shut itself down. So I have a feeling that it has some kind of a safety feature that will shut off the power when it is stalled. Needless to say, this thing seems really powerful, so I don't think you have any trouble pulling a lot of cars with it. I have it on a DCC track, and I'll run it without sound a little bit just to see how the mechanical parts work. It's pretty smooth and quiet. And let's try it with the sound on. The Locomotive has quite a few other sounds that it's able to produce. I'm not going to run through them all because it's quite a lot. It does have a way to use the horn. You set function 22, and then it should blow the horn. And then if you turn function 22 off, it'll go back to the whistle. The Locomotive also has another whistle, which, according to the little sheet that came with it, is more prototypical for the way 261 is today. You have to play with the CV settings to select that whistle, however. Now I'm going to give it a run with the smoke unit on. Smoke unit is timed with the steam chuffs. The driver chuff synchronization is also really good. So the engine includes some other auxiliary sounds that you can use. It has a coal shoveling sound. These are all activated with function keys. There's a water fill. Blow down. There's passenger sounds. There's also freight sounds.
I am clear to set on first, correct? Yes, sir. You're clear to set on.
It's a long whistle. And a number of other sounds that you can use just by pressing function keys. I should mention that all of the sound testing we did was done without the Rolling Thunder subwoofer. The sounds you heard were just the sounds that come out of the model. We'll take a look at the lights now. The front headlight is on dim until the engine starts moving, and then it gets brighter. And F23 makes the red emergency light come on. The backup light in the tender operates similar to the headlight. It's on dim and then brightens when the engine starts to move. The model is also equipped with a cab light that seems to just be on when the track power is on. I'm not sure if there's a way to control that. It might require some CV settings. Overall, I like this engine a lot. It runs really well, it's got good detail, and a pretty good sound system. If you're a fan of the Milwaukee Road or modern steam power, I'm sure you could add one of these to your roster and be very happy with it. Having said that, I'm especially disappointed in the wheel gauge problem. Regauging a driver is an operation that should only be attempted by an advanced modeler who knows what they're doing. If you do it wrong and the driver gets out a quarter, the engine won't run well, if at all. And I think at a $600 price level, that really shouldn't be an issue. So I'm going to take 2 spikes for that just because it's a very difficult thing to fix properly. And I'm going to take a spike off for the coupler height being wrong. So my final verdict is 7 out of 10 spikes.
If you or your company make a product that you'd like us to review, please drop us a line at reviews@tsgmultimedia.com.